Hi everyone, this is Bobby from bn-games.com, and we're here doing another classic capture. Today we're playing Postal 2, Share the Pain for the PC. This game was also released on the Mac and Linux platforms.
And it is one of the most, probably one of the most controversial games ever.
Of all time.
Of all time.
With the exception of that Columbine shooting game, I think.
It's still pretty up there, I think, even if that didn't exist.
And you know what's controversial? When I have to put a disclaimer for the game, I will tell you right now, if you're underage, I'll just kind of repeat that. If you're underage, if you're easily offended and not politically correct, or if you live in one of the 8 countries that I know of that this game is banned in, completely banned, such as Australia, you should turn off the video now because things are going to get violent, I guess.
Very quickly, and yeah, there's a reason that this game is so controversial.
I wanted to do this game a long time ago. I purchased the originals when they came out on disc. I actually gave those discs to my father. My father loves this game, and I couldn't get them back. Reason why we're doing it now is because Postal 2 Complete is on Steam now, as of November 2nd. This was released in April of 2003, and now it's on Steam. It took them a while, and they're one of the games that got pushed through the green light. You know, it's been out. There were a lot of people who were against this for the green light. They didn't want the game to go through because they said it had already been released or it had been established and already been made as a game. But, you know, Running with Scissors is kind of you could call them an indie developer because the only games they make are Postal games. And they're not established with any big publisher, and you know this was an indie game. You know, they were a bigger publisher, but you know, basically an indie game, indie house. You know, and they're publishing their own game. So you know, it went through greenlight. I'm glad that more people can enjoy this game, and it runs on modern machines fantastically. I mean, it's not even a word. Like it works. It's great. I mean, the frame rate is through the roof with almost any machine you play. This is actually running on 1920 by 1080 resolution, and there are only a few things that kind of look a little odd as far as the resolution is concerned. But I still think it looks pretty good considering when the game was released.
Yeah, for sure. All things considered, I think the textures are what keeps it, you know, looking so good because a lot of the games of this time, even now when you upscale them, they don't look very good, or at their native resolution don't look very good. But this actually held up pretty well. The one thing that I can say doesn't hold up very well, and I know it's just because of technical limitations, is the audio. Some of the recordings don't sound very clean, or they sound kind of compressed or really badly recorded, so that's only the real problem I think I can think of.
I think the worst thing about the game in total, from a visual audio perspective, is how the glass shatters from Windows. But that was even the case then. This is actually running on the Unreal 2 engine. If you played Postal 3 or knew about Postal 3, that game was developed on the Source engine. But that game is, there's a lot of that's kind of sad story.
That's so little.
This actually has Gary Coleman in it. Forgot to mention that. Gary Coleman guest stars, and you won't see it in this video. This video is kind of long, I know. We're not going to talk for the whole thing. But Gary Coleman is in it, and you go to his book signing, and he plays the dude. The dude is main character. And you have a really crappy wife, as you've witnessed, or bad wife.
Postal dude.
Postal dude.
That is his name.
Yes. So why is this game been banned in multiple countries? Well, the way Running with Scissors has put it is you go through a week of tasks. You're giving a number of tasks, which you'll see in a minute here, for Monday, through the rest of the week. And the expansion actually goes through Saturday and Sunday, Apocalypse Weekend, but that will be another video for another day. So Monday through Friday, you're going through a bunch of things, tasks. In the first level, it's or first day for Monday, it's mundane, like go to the bank, get your money, get some milk, get your paycheck from your job at Running with Scissors as a developer. I like that. That's a nice little thing. And the real key point here is you can go through this game if you really want to, without killing, maiming, or doing anything violent of your own
Accord.
Yeah. I mean, you can literally go through this and sit. Like, I'll give you an example. When we get to the bank, you can literally stand in line, and wait to be. It takes a long time, but you can do that. You can wait in line to be seen, and then just finish the day without being violent. I didn't buy this game as a teenager to not be violent.
You didn't buy this game as a teenager to wait in line at a bank.
Yes.
Virtually.
I also, as you can see here, am putting cheats on. This is the way I used to play the game back in the day, and that's the way I play the game. Once I get the game, as you can see, I'm going through all the weapons because I've unlocked unlimited all the weapons and unlimited health. Basically, it's just a massacre simulator at that point to some extent, and as I pointed out, it is by the player's choice. But you have the option of doing some very violent things that you have, well, at least at the time, weren't able to do in other video games. And I think this game gets a lot of undeserved flack because you can be basically this violent in the next most popular, series when it comes to violence, Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
Grand Theft Auto is a great game also. And a lot of people, the people who complain about this game, some of the stuff that, you can't pee in Grand Theft Auto, but,
yeah.
There are a few things you can do here that, if you want to, that are a little more extreme than Grand Theft Auto in that respect, but they're of your choosing, and Grand Theft Auto is a violent game also. You go around murdering innocent people, you kill hookers and everything else. So if you're one of those people who say this game is more violent, not really. Not really at all. I had to reset the game there. The car crashed on top of the house, and the game crashed.
You know what it can be is it can be more grotesque. I will say that much.
Yeah, to some extent. Yeah.
It gives you the tools to be a lot darker. You have a lot more in that respect. Also, putting it in a first-person perspective is kind of like like a mental thing where you really feel like you're doing it yourself, even though you're obviously playing him. Where in Grand Theft Auto you have the third-person view, so you can disassociate a bit. I'm positive I've heard somewhere that that's one of the main reasons that this game gets so much shit, because it puts you in that first-person view. Because people have used the whole argument that because you're in that view you can live out your fantasies and such, which is it's bullshit. It's a game,
Yes, it's a game, and
it's a game. It's entertainment, and there's a reason. There's a reason it's rated what it's rated. It's rated mature. Why? Because it's for mature audiences. They don't expect kids to be playing this because kids don't understand that difference. They might not understand that difference between doing something like this to kill some time versus doing it and actually going out and trying to do it. So it's a little bit of everything. A lot of games get that shit, and I think it's undeserved, but they'll latch onto whatever they can.
I completely believe that the game is as violent as you want it to be.
Yeah, I agree too.
And I play this game. I use it to its full extent, and there's no reason not to, because it's a game. But that's a controversy going back for years and years, and like I said, I think it's undeserved. And as a game, it had mostly low scores when it was first released. The idea was you did these mundane tasks, and if you wanted to, be a mass murderer, but you didn't have to. There's also some things that are about racist caricatures and stereotypes, which definitely are part of it. It isn't afraid to sort with those sorts of things, but it's a decent game if you can get into the violence aspect of it. If you just want to go around just shooting things or trying to survive. Also, some of the situations the Postal dude gets into are pretty interesting, like at the bank when you're trying to get your money if the bank gets robbed, and you have the choice of, stealing the money from the safe in the back and then running out and try to get away from the cops, or you just run away.
This is one of the things that I always thought was really interesting about this game at its time.
What specifically?
The fact that the AI would actually interact with each other that far. For example, you see them here. You saw that the cop came in to get Chu after the other chick was shooting at Chu. They both saw they had guns and started shooting at each other and started having a shootout.
Yeah.
I always thought that was pretty
Well, the
organic.
One
That's
of
the
them,
word.
one of them got shot, so they started firing at each other.
Yeah,
Although,
but I'm just saying, you know, that didn't happen a lot in other games of this time. That wasn't something that you saw. You know, they would all ban against you because that's the way the AI was programmed to go against you. Where here, they can go against each other, and you can just, you know, live the whole day like in Grand Theft Auto, just watching these people live their lives, and you don't have to do anything bad. Now, on you know, in contrast, where in Grand Theft Auto a lot of the missions do require you to do bad things, such as steal cars, kill people, yada yada, this one's having you just live your mundane life, and you know, like you said, it gives you the tools to do these things, but you don't have to. You can just live your life normally.
This right here is one of my favorite cheats, and if you're a cat lover, you might want to turn off the video now. Yeah. You know what the game is really, if you really think about it, is satire.
Yeah.
It is satire. It's playable satire. And you know, at the time, you know, the original Grand Theft Auto 3 had been out. You know, but there wasn't anything like this else. I mean, the popular thing of this day and age was still your Unreal tournaments, which were violent also. You were glibbing.
Yeah.
Glibbing was a thing, you know. Just, yeah. The groups, the groups that really, the protest groups are really part of the ones who complained, you know, mostly. Game reviewers, some of them loved it for the aspects of what you could do with it if you really wanted to. Other game reviewers hated it because it didn't have I guess it didn't have much of a story from their perspective. You know, you do these mundane tasks and that was it, you know. So it was mixed all around. I think PC World gave it a pretty good score considering.
It's definitely a cult hit.
Definitely a cult hit. This is, yeah, that is exactly the way to explain it. People who love the game, loved the game, you know, and it has a bit of a following still, and the fact that it's on Steam now is going to just grow that, at least for the regions that can play it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's fun. It still holds up. Controls are still pretty good. I should mention, if you're wondering why I kick every door in, I love that. That's one of my favorite things to do in the entire game. No matter what, just kick the door in, and it's like a action movie thing, kind of. The shovel's definitely the best melee weapon, well, at least in this game. And I am playing soccer with that dude's head.
I think that was a goal.
Like he watches it now. Oh well. I think the dialogue is also pretty good. I mean, it's not written to be it's not written like a novel, but you know, the phrases that come out of people, the phrase, or you know, just the little quibs are funny, and you know, you have to enjoy that kind of humor. This game definitely is not going to appeal to everybody. You know, the violence alone is going to turn off. I like to call them the Jedi types, like, you know, the self-righteous, the people who played Mass Effect and were Paragon the entire way. You know, if you're one of the people like me who played Renegade the entire time, this game is probably for you. And like I said, it'll practically run on anything these days. When the game first came out, it had some performance issues, and I should mention that the game came out originally just as the main part here, where you're going through the city and you know, going through these errands. Right now, I just picked up the milk for his wife. There was an expansion pack which made the game like, he just threw it up because the meat, he doesn't like the smell of the meat. That's interesting. And he's running away on on top of it. There was a multiplayer expansion added to it. That's where the share the pain aspect comes in. We didn't capture any of that here because there really wasn't a lot of people playing it. It had basic modes: deathmatch, team deathmatch, capture a flag, which you actually picked up a woman and put her on the bed, that kind of thing. And it used all the weapons that you see here. The cow head is a diseased cow head. I think I'll use that once in here. Also, you can explore the city. Like here, for example, you don't have to, but right now, you know, to continue, I'll go into the back room and then I'll find a bunch of cash and a bunch of other stuff. Also, this is one of the first games that I remember that used you had the ability to douse people in flames. You know, use like a gas can, like you're seeing there. You know, pour it and then light it at will. That was definitely an interesting mechanic, and I still think, even considering what it looks like now, that still holds up pretty good.
Yeah, it doesn't look too bad.
You know, overall, I mean, it's a decent game, and right now on Steam, it's $15, and that includes Apocalypse Weekend, which is the expansion, and that actually is pretty good also. Although that takes a horror story element, or horror movie element. You get some psychic powers to some extent, and does a little bit more. Well, uses zombies, which is interesting, and it uses. There's a supernatural element to it. This game is just you're running around killing people, to some extent, and it gives you plenty of situations. It entices you, like towards at the end of the video, because we're not going to talk through the whole thing. There's a marching band, and it's a marching band walking through the streets. I mean, come on, you know. Like I said, unless you're Paragon, and you just go around like, oh, well, that was an interesting song. They played that really well. That was a nice key. Or you're like me and like, man, rocket launcher. That's you know, it's going to appeal to certain types. You know, I'm not a violent person, but in the game, I mean, you give me the tools, it's going to happen. I think another thing that people dislike is he uses crack as a drug actively. And that's one thing. You can use crack to increase your health by 25%. Although if you don't continue using it, he becomes addicted and then starts to suffer when he comes down off of his high. So that, I mean, it's an interesting way to put that kind of gameplay mechanic in it. And you know, we've talked about other reasons why it's been banned. You know, some of it is of a sexual nature. There is a gimp, and at some point you get put into a gimp suit and kidnapped by a bunch of redneck farmers or rednecks, whatever.
So it's Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, to some extent, actually. One of the missions, you go piss on your father's grave. You know, that's not violent. I mean, it's vulgar, but it's not violent. And you know, it depends. But it was a good game. There was a Postal one I should mention. That game is also purchasable off of runningwithscissors.com. That one is a much older game, and it's not a free roaming like this. It's more of a top-down perspective. That was a pretty good game, but this one really took it over the top. And after the expansion packs, like we mentioned, Postal 3 was released. That was actually created by another company in Russia. The name escapes me at the moment. Trashmasters. That game had some controversy based on the fact that Running with Scissors had to outsource development, and that game kind of just... this game, at least, was technically sound, and after they patched it, they fixed a lot of the issues with performance, but Postal 3 still remains a mess and probably won't be ever fixed again. In fact, as of this video, Running with Scissors does not sell that game anymore because they can't get the source code. It's sad. It's really sad. And, you know, as a developer, I mean, Postal games, you know a Postal game when you see it. Even Postal 3 had elements that, besides the fact that it was to the dude and he had his dog Champ, it had a Postal feeling, and unfortunately, based on what's going on, it's sad that this, you know, there may not be a Postal 4, you know, and a proper Postal 4. I think it's also sad that this game doesn't come to consoles, because going back to what I said about Grand Theft Auto, they'll allow that to be on the console. You consider all the messed up things that happen in that game. You consider the messed up things that they allowed in, let's say, even Call of Duty 2, when you go and massacre that airport.
Yeah.
I think that is as bad, if not worse, than my going around a cartoony Arizona throwing scissors at somebody.
I completely agree.
You know? So, it's all about context. It's all about context. And, you know, in let's say the Call of Duty 2 situation, that's just a messed up terrorist destroying people. This guy is just, you know, he's just a regular little psychopath.
And that is where you draw the line.
I like the sniper rifle in this game, although I wish it reload a little faster. Yeah, so by the end, really, when you play through the game, by the end, it ends kind of abruptly, and then that leads into the expansion pack, and then you play the expansion pack and you figure out what happens to the town itself. after. I'm not going to spoil that. We'll talk about that in that video. But for $15 on Steam, you really can't go wrong. You really can't. I mean, it plays well. It still looks pretty good. If you can take the satire as humor, and if you understand that violence in video games is just violence in video games and not real life, if you can take that away, then this game, there's nothing wrong with it. And like I said, it would practically run on anything modern within the last 2-3 years. You don't need a beast of a machine to run this anymore. Back then, you kind of needed it. Well, whatever the terms were back then. But these days, it'll run, and it's a fun little run. Is just, the politically correct, self-righteous types that can't understand that it's just a game, and it's just satire, and it's in fact, I'll put it this way: towards the end of the game, towards the end of day one in this video, when you go to Running with Scissors video game studio, when I go pick up my paycheck, there's a group outside for parents against video games, violent video games, and they're out there protesting. And then at a certain point they turn from peaceful to violent, and they say screw it, and they go inside, storm the building, and start trying to kill the developers and you. So the game knows its audience, and the game knows its enemies.
For sure.
Easily. When did you play this one?
I played this probably 2005. Back in my computer.
I remember that they released a demo. The demo. It was the first 2 areas of the map, and it lets you do basically everything I'm doing right now, with the exception that not all the weapons were unlocked. And I remember me and Timmy playing that for so many fucking hours, and then eventually about the game, and then you find the more extreme parts of the game that happen, and my father is a hardcore conservative. You can
I can vouch for this.
You can vouch for this. He's the person who, when South Park released their first album, did not let me get it. Well, it was coming in the mail, and he took it away before I could get it because it had some cursing in it. Okay, and he loves this game. He loves this game. First thing he did when he bought a brand new laptop was have me install the damn thing. He's not very good at it. It keeps dying, but he likes going around kicking people and stuff, and he enjoys it. I mean, that's pretty telling for me about as a wider audience. Here's the bank. Cats. Now you can't play this obviously without the cheats, but for the sake of a video. I love that moment. There's something about that. He just keeps vomiting with always she's dead. I don't know. It's infinitely replayable. The multiplayer aspect is there. With it being on Steam, that community probably will grow. I think part of the reason why it was people stopped using it is uses GameSpy for matchmaking, and I don't know anybody who likes GameSpy for matchmaking at all. I don't know anybody who likes GameSpy. It's
okay for certain things, like I think the original Halo still runs on GameSpy servers.
That's entirely possible. I don't remember. CE, Halo CE.
Halo CE, which was developed by Gearbox.
Yep.
And they had their PC server set up through GameSpy as well. And I know that still works because I played that with Timmy.
I should say, if they go with another Postal game, I like the Source engine, but I think they should go back to Unreal. There's something about the Unreal engine, the way this plays versus the Source engine, that I think it would run better in this on maybe Unreal Engine 4 when that comes out. I mean, we're that far. It's 2012 right now. The game was released in 2003. I also should mention, if you want a box copy, they still sell them. RunningWithScissors.com. And I believe if you want it to be signed by the developers, if you ask for that in the description, they'll do that. Which I'm considering doing that. I also want to get they used to sell the signs of their logo, and Vince Desi, who's the head of Running with Scissors, him and the developers would go with their guns and shoot the signs. So you could buy one without bullet holes or one with bullet holes that they would do themselves. I just like the way Running with Scissors does business, the way their attitude, the way they create their games, and their own style. They have a style. When you see their work, it's them.
It's very unique.
I think she's throwing up because the diseased cow head. pretty sure that's why.
How dare she?
Yes.
Who does she think she is?
But, you know, all in all, it's a great game. We're not going to go on for another half an hour because the rest of it is just gameplay, and if you enjoy watching this, continue to watch from this point. It's going to... I end it just at the beginning of day 2 with the marching band that I mentioned a little earlier. But, you know, for $15, it was $13 at launch. I mean, you know, you get the main game, the expansion pack, and the multiplayer all in one. You know, it's not a huge download size either. I think it's like 2 gigs in size, something like that in total. So, you know, if you're limited on space, you know, it's gonna run. You know, it's not gonna take that much space up. But as I've said a couple times, when we put a disclaimer, you know, if you're politically correct, if you're a paragon, maybe I should have put that in disclaimer. If you're a paragon, you know, if you're self-righteous, if you're in a banned country, you know, it's a felony in some countries, you know, punishable by jail time. You know, if you're in those countries, then obviously, you know, we can't recommend it for you. Although if you are one of those countries and you want to be a rebel, you can still get a boxed copy. But it's a great game. I enjoyed it as a teenager. I still enjoy it now. I know it's satire. I know it's a game that is as violent as I'm going to be in the game, and I know that video games are not violent generally. They're you know, it's you know, you don't take this and you know, do in real life. You know, anyone with common sense knows this, and no self-righteous group that's going to say otherwise is, you know, is right. You know, they just don't like that there's violence in it, and I can go around with a shovel and I'm peeing on this chick. You know, it's in the game. I wouldn't go do that in real life. You know, I know the difference. It's something you do in the game, and you know, you do. I mean, it's not like you know, I go jumping on mushrooms, you know, because of Mario. You know, so it's a ridiculous premise, you know, all in all. But for the price, you really can't go wrong. I would say support the developer. They make interesting games, and you know, I'd like to see this hopefully one day on a console. I doubt it will, just based on the climate, but it would be nice. But if you have a PC, if you have a laptop, anything that's 2 or 3 years old at this point, there's no excuse other than the reasons we mentioned in the disclaimer, and I've repeated a couple times now. Marco, what do you think?
I definitely agree. It's a great game. It's fun. There's a lot you can do in it. There's a lot of mods too, which we don't really, you know, we're not really going to touch on.
Yeah.
But there are plenty of mods to add different weapons, which, you know, is one of the great things about PC gaming is that, you know, even with these older games and a lot of them that we do show, like Unreal Tournament, you know, Quake, a lot of them are still living and played by a lot of people, not only in their original forms but in modified forms, with, you know, maybe different UIs, different graphical options, different weapons. So a lot of these games are able to live on, and, you know, for the money that you pay, you get a lot of value because you're paying $15, but if you look in the right places, there are mission packs and there are, you know, downloadable content that you can download and make it a completely different game for that original price.
Yeah, now to think about it, there were a couple of total conversion mods that I played some time ago, and they were pretty good.
Yeah.
They were pretty good. And then the expansion pack, you know, that adds a whole nother thing, another element to it, which there are different gameplay styles in there, but we'll make that a different video. Alright everyone, well, this was a classic capture for Postal 2 Share the Pain, part of the Postal Complete Pack on Steam now. You can buy the box copy, which is a little more expensive, but the Steam copy is $15 as of this video. And, you know, it's worth every cent. Just follow the disclaimer, or if you're a Paragon, like we said, I hate to keep repeating it, but, you know, it definitely is not for everybody. But if you can, as we've discussed, can enjoy this kind of content and know that video games are video games to be video games, that's very Greek, then this might be for you. Please subscribe and let us know what you think. Also, if you still play online, if you still play Share the Pain online and have a server, send me an email. I'd be interested in playing. Thank you very much.
one's impressed.
XYZ. That's the ticket.
Oh God. Hey! XYZ.
Jeez, pull your pants up. Sick bastard!
What the? Oh, man.
That's the ticket.
Coming through.
No one's impressed. Idiot. What the?
Oh, yeah.
Bastard! Oh, Christ! You sick bastard! Oh God, Hey!
Games are bad, they make you mad. 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 Games are bad, they make you mad.
Vince needs to see you, dude.
Thanks.
One side.
Nothing personal, man, but you're fired.
But I just started yesterday.
Your check is on my desk. Go get it.
And done. Time to head home.
Games are bad, they make you mad. Games are bad, they make you mad. Games are bad, they make you mad. Games are bad, they make you
Who's
mad.
with me?
Games are bad, they make you mad.
Come on,
Games
everyone,
are bad,
follow
they make
me.
you mad. Games-
Slow roasted goodness.
CT rocket activated.
Smells like chicken. I think I'll need to keep an eye out for these folks. They're definitely hazardous to my health.
Did you go by work?
Yeah, apparently I'm on sabbatical or something.
Well, good. Maybe you can get a few more things done for me.
I'm gonna do a few things to you, woman.
What was that?
Nothing, dear. Enjoy your milk.
It's been a while since I've confessed. Hope I can remember everything. Let's see. Oh yeah, like I'll ever find that. Oh yeah, I gotta get that petition signed. Good thing I'm a people person. Guess I can do that anywhere. Stupid library book, bitch can't even read. Now where is that? Ooh, Gary's in town. I used to love what's happening. Let's see. Ah. I guess this crap ain't gonna get done by itself. Would you please sign my petition? Hi there, would you like to sign my petition? Would you please sign my petition?
Okay, I guess that sounds pretty good.
CT rocket activated.